Hi there, my name is Stainan Benjaminson, and welcome to this short overview of PBCore. and welcome to this short overview of PBCore. PBCore is a metadata schema that was created for the purposes of describing media, both digital and analog. The project was initiated in 2001 by the Corporation of Public Broadcasting with the goal of creating a metadata standard for use by radio and television stations to share information about their assets being audiovisual media. PBCore has undergone a number of revisions since first being released in 2005. The current version, 2.1, was released last year. At this point in time, the stewardship of PBCore falls to WGBH, a Boston-based public radio station, in partnership with the Library of Congress. While they oversee the maintenance of PBCore, it is essentially created, developed, and informed by a large group of subcommittee members who are drawn from throughout the media cataloging community. So, in other words, people who create and interact with this type of metadata on a daily basis. As a testament to the quality and flexibility of PBCore, it's interesting to note that its usage extends far beyond public broadcasting organizations. Users include the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Smithsonian Channel, Columbia University, Moving Image Research Collection, and many, many others. The schema itself was based upon Dublin Core, but has been significantly expanded and modified to suit the descriptive needs of audiovisual catalogers. XML, which stands for Extensible Markup Language, is used to format PBCore records for a few reasons. First of all, XML makes it possible to record complex relationships among elements, including one-to-many relationships at any level of a record, which PBCore is designed to do. There's a prescribed order of elements in PBCore, and by using XML, catalogers can ensure the validity of their records by running them through a validation tool that is calibrated with the PBCore schema. Another benefit is that XML is a widely used format, meaning records can easily be shared and read by others. So what are the components of PBCore? Well, there are no less than 82 elements in the current version. 3 of these are considered root elements. Each record, that is each XML document, is based upon one root element. Depending on which type of root element is selected, there is a minimum of either 2 or 3 required sub-elements. Many sub-elements are infinitely repeatable. The result being that records can range from being very brief to very dense. Here is an example of a very brief record with the minimum requirements. You can see it's only 8 lines long. And here's a much more detailed record. It goes on and on and on and on. This is a visualization of the current schema. Ovals represent containers, while rectangles represent sub-elements. Rectangles with bolded borders indicate required sub-elements. You'll notice that color coding is used to represent the 4 different classes of elements, which we'll examine more closely in a moment. In the center, we see 3 green ovals. These are the root elements upon which records can be based. From top to bottom, they are PBCore Instantiation Document, PBCore Collection, and PBCore Description Document. Let's look at the latter to start with. The PBCore Description Document is the most common type of PBCore record with the closest cognate to what we might consider a traditional cataloging record. As you can see, its container has arrows pointing to the sub-elements listed on both the left and the right of the diagram. Let's first look to the left. Here we find what are referred to as asset-level elements. These are the elements that most closely resemble those found in Dublin Core or other common metadata standards. The blue elements represent intellectual content, while the purple is for intellectual property. These terms correspond, respectively, to descriptive metadata and administrative metadata. As you can see, the 3 required sub-elements for this type of record are identifier, title, and description. And just to avoid any confusion, the other bolded sub-elements that you see there are only required if their parent containers are included in the record. The orange elements that you see are referred to as extension elements, and they exist essentially as placeholders for organizations to insert any local content or information that PBCore isn't already set up to contain. Going back to our root element now and following the arrow to the right side of the diagram, those elements that you see in red describe what is referred to as an instantiation. And this is where PBCore really differentiates itself from other metadata standards and becomes really attractive to those cataloging and organizing media collections. So what is an instantiation? An instantiation is essentially equivalent to the work level in the Ferber model. I've taken this graphic from a PBCore webinar that illustrates the concept quite well, I think. Within a media collection, it would not be unusual to have multiple versions of an asset, each with different technical specifications. In this example, the asset is a documentary about cowboys with 4 different instantiations. A master tape at the left, next to that is a DVD, followed by a digitization, and finally a low-res version for streaming. The content for each version is completely identical, but they each have their own technical details that need to be documented in the record. In this case, there would be one record based on the PBCore description document root element, which would contain 4 instantiations, each with its own elements. So instantiation level elements really describe the technical details of a specific media format. And these descriptors work so well for media that a lot of organizations that carry media as a portion of their collection wanted a way to use these instantiation elements within their already established cataloging systems. In other words, without using PBCore's asset level elements. This is where we get the PBCore instantiation document root element. Excuse me. This enables whole records to be created around instantiations and still be valid. These records can then be integrated into other records that have been built using MARC or METS or some other standard. Finally, the last root element is called PBCore collection, and as you can see, it exists only as a parent to the PBCore description document root element. The term collection is not used here in the traditional library sense. Rather, in this context, a collection is a series of assets which, when combined, make up a whole item. For example, if a recording of a single program is made up of multiple components. As far as controlled vocabularies are concerned, there are recommended vocabularies indicated in the element descriptions on the PBCore site, but nothing is explicitly required. Let's take a look. This is the PBCore website, and if we select the elements list, we're brought to this page which lists all 82 elements in the prescribed order that they need to exist in. Let's take a look at subject. On this page, we're given a description of what the subject is about, as well as the different XML attributes that can be included to describe the subject. And as you can see right here, we are given a variety of recommendations for controlled vocabularies that could be used. And then finally, examples of how you might actually transcribe your subject. Hopefully, I've been able to show you that there's a great deal of flexibility involved in using PBCore to describe one's media assets, and this ultimately makes it very attractive to a variety of organizations, each of which can choose to apply their own local practices and requirements to its use. Thank you for watching.